Well, hello, most beautiful people in the whole wide world. I'm back. It's Jamila Ballard here with the Virtuous Woman podcast. Today, I've got a great video for y'all. Very interesting, I should say, about Pastor Elijah McDavid. He is the pastor of a church in Minneapolis. It's called the Fellowship Missionary Baptist Church. Again, that's in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I don't know, something about that place. I just felt like, okay, there's black people there. apparently there are. This is about infidelity. It's about abuse of power, abuse of authority. It's a bunch of things. It's a bunch of things here, but this story is really not a new one because we've seen this over and over and over again. And I hate to say it, but sadly we see this a lot with pastors. I've done videos on Pastor Jamal Bryant. And even though Derek Jackson is not a pastor, we're still seeing the same patterns. The church has conformed to the world, and now we just don't even think godly character and morals are necessary, important, and pastors don't think they have to be held accountable to a godly standard. Let's go ahead and jump into this video, and I'll talk to you guys about it afterwards.
A game of put a finger down. Put a finger down if you met a man last year and he was just the best man in the world, or at least you thought he was. He was so intentional. He was so sweet. He was so thoughtful. He moved with purpose. He knew what he wanted, and he didn't play about you. You all dated for 9 months, and he asked you to marry him in April. Put a finger down.
Okay, remember, she said 9 months. Okay. And he asked you to marry him in April. So this is a timeline. I'm giving you guys a timeline. That means that she and him started dating. She and the pastor started dating in November of 2024. Okay.
If he announced an engagement in front of his entire congregation on Easter, put a finger down.
Announce the engagement Easter. Okay. So that would be April, March or April. Sorry, y'all. In, 2025, because they had been dating for 9 months. Okay, follow me.
If 2-3 days go by and you find out that your fiance had been cheating on you for about a good length of your relationship. Not only had he been cheating on you, but he was cheating on you with a member of the church. He also had...
So at this point, that would mean that he was seeing somebody else, according to what she's saying, during 2024. Okay, remember, these dates are important. That means during 2024, he was seeing somebody. She and him started dating at the end of 2024, and then he proposed to her in the spring, which is Easter 2025.
And another relationship with another woman from the church, but it wasn't sexual. Didn't find this information out until after you all were engaged. You were livid. You were furious. You gave the ring back. You called off the engagement. You called off the wedding that you were planning. You canceled the dress that you ordered. All of this stuff. This man begged and pleaded and begged and pleaded and begged and pleaded and begged and pleaded for your forgiveness. After some time and work and like all of this stuff, and you making demands, and he met those demands, you thought to yourself, okay, like I asked him to do X, Y, and Z, he did them, he is serious. You decide that you want to work on this relationship and that you want to be in a relationship with him and all this other stuff. So you decide still to move to Minneapolis, uproot you and your son, leave your job behind, leave your family and your friends, and you come here.
Okay, so he's caught cheating, right? They decide to reconcile because he met demands after he's caught cheating. And she still decided, okay, I'm going to pick up, my son and I are going to pick up and go move to Minneapolis, to where he lives, where he's pastoring a church.
To be this man's wife. You all get married, and everything seems to be okay. You all have like little knickknacks. There's everything that you go through, like as marriages do.
It's a knickknack.
But you all are still very
arguments,
wanting to be together. You get married in August. You go to Italy for your honeymoon in August, and you get pregnant the first day of your honeymoon. Surprise!
4 months after the proposal, they get married.
I am 13 weeks pregnant. pregnant. You all get into an altercation in October. You decide that you are going to go ahead and take some time apart, so you go home for a week. You go home, and that's when you actually found out that you were pregnant. You end up coming back to Minneapolis. You all are working everything out, trying to at least, and then surprise, he moved out. He got an apartment. Thanksgiving comes around and he's back at the house. He still has his apartment, but he's been home every single day playing house. We've been eating together as a family. He's been taking your son to school. He's been coming back home in the evenings. He's been sleeping here. Like, everything's been fine. Then last Saturday, you all get into an argument over a napkin. You get into an argument over a napkin, and he decides that he is going to leave.
When she says last Saturday, this is now December 2025, okay? December 2025. They had already been married since August. So that's August, September, October, November, December. They've been married now for 4 months. Only 4 months.
And you tell him, look, you're married. You can't keep leaving every single time you get upset. Married people don't have second residences. He decides to leave anyway. So you text him and you let him know that this is the last time that he will be able to walk out on you, your son, and your unborn child. You go to church that next day. Everything is fine. I mean, you are saving your face. You're speaking to everyone. You're smiling. After church, you go up to your husband and tell him how great of a job that he preached, and that you asked him if he wanted to go get some brunch afterwards, or like what his plans were. And he said that he had a headache. He was going to go lay down. So I said, okay. So my son, we go to brunch with a friend, and we come back, and your husband is not here. In the evening, you try to get in contact with your husband. He still doesn't answer the phone. Monday comes around, and you are sitting on the couch, folding clothes, doing laundry, and watching the P. Diddy documentary. The doorbell rings. You think that it is a package that your stepmom sent you all for Christmas, so you're not in a rush to answer the door because delivery people are going to sit it down. The doorbell rings again, so you get up because you are naked on the couch trying to fold laundry, because the only clothes that fit are the clothes that you are washing because you're pregnant. Find something, you throw it on, you go to the door. It is a woman there. She asks, are you Tyler? You say yes. She hands you a paper and says, you've been served. I open the paper, and it's divorce papers.
So that means she was at church with him on Sunday, right? He didn't come home Sunday night, all of a sudden Monday, and he's not answering the phone. Monday morning, she gets served divorce papers. So what does that mean? Nobody is, listen, you can't get a process server on the weekend. I mean, I don't know. Anything is possible, but more than likely, he had already taken measures to have her served before the weekend. Okay. So he's just playing it out like he's not up to anything. And it didn't even have the decency to tell her, I want a divorce. All right, let's go on. Let's move on.
You're so distraught. You don't know what's going on, why he would serve divorce papers, what happened to the point that divorce papers would be served. There was no conversation being had.
Exactly.
You are literally a mess. You all
blindsided.
Had a conversation a few days later, and you're like, you know what? I need you to be honest with me. Are you messing with anybody?
Because it sure looks that way.
He tells you that he's been involved with a woman for the past month. Not any woman, but one of the 2 women that he was involved with in the beginning of your relationship.
1, 2, 3. Beginning of the relationship means somewhere around November 2024 that he was involved with 2 women, but that's when he met her. So it was 3 of them at the beginning of her relationship. Total of 3. Okay. All right. I don't want you all to listen really closely to the last right here, as right before she starts putting her fingers down. Listen closely. And I want to see if you catch what I caught. Drop me a comment. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to play it again. As she's counting. As she's putting those fingers down. Listen closely. 1, 2, 3.
I'm putting all of my fingers down.
Do you hear a child's voice, right? I'm guessing that's her son. Okay, so that's the wife's video that went viral, okay? This whole scandal went viral. So, if you watch this entire video, you'll be all caught up. You're going to be all caught up with all the timelines and everything. What we're going to watch now is Pastor Elijah McDavid at church giving his quote unquote apology. And it's quite interesting. It's quite interesting. Again, we see more and more of tap dancing and no accountability, because honor God. Why would I do that? I'm a pastor. You know, sad, because there's real pastors out there, but is seeing too much of this. Let's watch it.
So many doors he's opened, so many ways he's made. He didn't have to let us live, but I'm glad to be in the service one more time. Are you grateful for life, health, and strength today? I know I am, and we praise God for it. Listen, a few words of remarks before we move into our time of worship through giving. I want to say that I, like any other person with a biblical name, I can't help but to resonate with the story of the personality that I'm named for. I have a gravitational pull that keeps on drawing me back to the story.
It's not a personality. He's a real person. He's historically factual. He's not a character.
Of the prophet Elijah. And I'm drawn, Deacon Corey, not just to the high moments of success that he experiences, but I am drawn sometimes to the low moment that Elijah experienced in 1 Kings chapter 19. If you've been at Fellowship a little while, if you read your Bible, you know I've taught the story. Elijah just had an awesome victory in chapter 18, defeating 450 prophets of Baal. And then as you turn the page, you find Elijah running for his life, fearful, afraid, anxious about what's coming next. He even questions the value and the significance of his own future. I would say that similar to the biblical Elijah, many of us today are wrestling with some heavy emotions. For some in our church, we experienced a whole lot this week, and it's left our community wondering and questioning, what does the future look like? We accomplished a whole lot together as a church family in chapter 18. We had some beautifully victorious seasons that we ought to be proud of in chapter 18. But right now it's a chapter 19 moment. And a lot of people are hurting. And if I can be honest, your pastor is hurting. May not have experienced all the dark tears of depression that the biblical Elijah wrestled with, but I can be honest and say I've cried a whole lot these last 3 months. And so, with your gracious understanding, I would like to take some time to do what the biblical Elijah did. To go away to the mountaintop for a few days and allow the Spirit of our merciful God to replenish me, to recalibrate me, and restore me. I want to be better before we resume the work of prophetic ministry. I believe that on the other side of a refueling moment, we can have more chapter 18 victories ahead of us. And for those who might be uncertain about if there's victory ahead of us, I am confident in this, that even when the preacher, even when the members, even when a leader is going through it, even when we are broken and hurting, God knows how to touch us and minister to us and whisper to us in the stillness of the night, just as he did for the biblical Lord. Elijah, he can do for any of us. I'm confident in that. And so, beloved, as I prepare for a short time away, allow me to encourage you to never allow anything to interrupt the life of our church's worship. Don't allow anything to interrupt the life of our church's worship. I heard a whole lot on the internet this week, but I'm not going to allow that to interrupt my prayer life. And I would advise you that you shouldn't allow it to interrupt yours either. We've had some moments of victory right now, walking through a valley of defeat. But I've taught you before, fellowship, that whether in victory or in defeat, our task remains the same. We shall lift our eyes beyond the hills because we know where our help comes from. And we're confident in that sacred and holy help. As I prepare to take this brief leave of absence, I do also today want to offer a wholehearted apology to this church family. You all have had to hear some hard things this week. And while what you've heard is misleading, I recognize that what you've heard still causes pain. It tarnishes our reputation as a church. It makes some question the spiritual well-being of our institution. And perhaps worst of all, it evokes memories of church hurt and trauma that all too many of us have had to live through time and time again. And so, from the bottom of my heart, I'm deeply sorry that because none of you should have had to experience hurt like this on the week of Christmas. I hate that a private matter became public. However, I will stand here today and boldly stand by my decision to dissolve my marriage so that I can be physically safe and mentally whole. And through all the noise, I want you to know I'm grateful to be alive. And so I ask that you would pray for our church. Pray for my family. Pray for everybody who's been involved and touched by this situation. And know that I love my fellowship family and that stepping away even for a brief moment is hard, but I'm confident that the same Holy Spirit that has sustained us through 5 years of victory seasons will continue to be with us even in my absence. And while I might be absent physically, know that I will still be connected with you all spiritually.
So that's what the pastor had to say, okay? Notice he has disassociated himself from what has happened by using phrases and wording like what has happened. You know, you've been hurt and church hurt. And so he's very cleverly and manipulatively using words in such a way where it gives the illusion of somebody taking responsibility, but he's never actually taking responsibility, saying, I did this. My behavior was unacceptable. I have some work to do where my integrity is concerned and how I live my life and respecting and honoring women in general, and certainly understanding what a husband's role is and how he should honor his wife. Let's go ahead and get into the next video. This next video is a young lady. A young lady made a video. This was on TikTok. I'm not sure if it was originally on TikTok. It was on TikTok though. She made a video because the mother of the young lady who was accused of being the side chick, all of this had gotten out there and had gotten around. And so everybody felt like they knew who the side chick was. And so the mother decided to reach out to this young lady. I'm not sure why she reached out to her, but she reached out to her probably because of her commentary regarding the entire scandal on social media and on her platform. So the mother reached out to the alleged side chick to say, no, my daughter was not a side chick. So let's check out this video next.
I have another update about the Pastor McDavid situation. I got a DM from the alleged side chick's mother. Now, the mother is alleging that her daughter is not a side chick.
Let me just go ahead and show you guys the actual DM, okay? So this is the DM, and it reads, "Thank you for what you have said." Remember, this is the mom referring to her own daughter, the young woman who is accused or believed to have been Pastor Elijah McDavid's side chick, okay? And it says, "Thank you for what you have said. The alleged side chick is my child. She has not been with him in over 1.5 years. He got with his wife weeks after him and my daughter broke up. My child is an amazing young woman who was manipulated by an alleged servant of God, but yet folks saying she is a side chick. She was his woman for 3 years, helped him in his ministry, and was cheated on and left. She hasn't had inappropriate dealings with him. Folks want to blame others, but this ninja ain't said sorry by name to the other women. He said sorry in church. To the other women, He said sorry in church. Now my daughter crying and no one cares. She has receipts as well, but why would she need to post them about a man she ain't dated in 1.5 years? Which, that makes sense. Then she goes on to say, I appreciate your truthful version. I'm just a mom who loves her child, and he definitely needs his whooped. His wife knew. His wife knew about the secretary's daughter before she married him. This is another young woman that he was supposedly and allegedly having an affair with, right? She goes on to say his wife knew about the secretary's daughter before she married him, the church secretary's daughter. My child is not the secretary's daughter. Okay, so now we got 3 women, including the wife. She dated him and someone tagged her in a messy post, and the wife has already said my daughter wasn't a side chick. But now wife is getting views and likes, and my child hasn't done nothing but love a man who didn't love himself. How many of us have that story, have that testimony? Thanks for letting me vent. Okay, so that's from the mom. Okay. Now, I want to show a little bit of the video. This is the daughter now, okay? And she posted this video. I'm not going to show the entire video. You guys can go look it up, check it out if you want to. Finish watching my video first, please, okay? But let me show you some of this video. This is the young woman, the daughter. And that was the mom's letter, of course. Just want to keep it really, 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 really clear.
Video like this, I was going to allow it to pan itself out with the people that were involved, but the moment that my name came into it and screenshots are being posted with my name in it, I felt like I have to say something.
I am not mistress. I am not someone that is maintaining an inappropriate relationship with your husband or anybody for that matter. I am not somebody who wants to intervene or get in the middle of your relationship. What you should know is that this person and I dated for approximately 3 years. We started dating in June of 2021, and I also loved and cared about him. I also experienced all of the lavish trips and Michelin star restaurants, and truly feeling like somebody loved and cared about me and truly felt like I could trust him. He and I maintained a relationship for about 3 years, and we lived together and everything. It was in the spring of 2024 that I found out some devastating news that my trust was broken and that I was humiliated. At that point, like you, I also tried to see if we could figure things out and maintain the relationship. That's not necessarily something that I would recommend to anybody today, but that is my truth. We decided ultimately in about May of 2024 that we were no longer going to attempt to work on our relationship and that we would cut things off. From that point, he and I did not maintain contact the same way that we had before. We really did take a lot of space from each other. And later on that year, he started to reach back out and ask if I wanted to go to dinner or brunch, etc. And
now, here's where there may be an overlap in the relationships, okay? Because she said later on that year, he reached back out to her, asked if she wanted to go out, right? But the wife, before she became the wife, was dating him at the end of November, at the end of the year, November and December to be specific, according to her account, right? So it's possible right here that these two were dating him at the same time, okay? But remember, there was at least one other woman as well. And there's also a Carrie in the mix. Supposedly she may have only been a friend and had, just a platonic relationship. But it looks like there's an overlap here between the time that he's reaching out to this woman he already broke up with and the woman who is to be his wife, possibly talking to, dating, whatever, involved with both of them at the end of 2024. Let's continue.
Would invite myself and my friends out. During these dinners and brunches, he would offer up that he is single, that he is by himself, that if he is going on these trips, he's going by himself, he's going on his sabbatical, and he's going by himself as a single man. To my surprise, he asked me to dinner in spring of 2025 of this year and let me know that he was planning to propose to someone. And I'll be honest and let you know that I absolutely crashed out in that moment because I felt like even though we weren't together, we had built a friendship over the last few months to where we could be honest with each other. I was frustrated because I felt like I didn't have a choice and that I didn't get an option of being able to walk away knowing that he was in a relationship with someone. I literally found out that you existed on that day. And when I checked in with other people, they let me know that they had been seeing your videos for a while and just thought that I knew. And that's why no one had told me. I talked to my mentor and he let me know that he was not about to propose, that he actually had already proposed to you before he said that to me. And I confronted him again and asked him why he had lied to me. I asked him what the reason was for not telling me that you were in a relationship this entire time. And he said to me that he didn't want to lose his best friend. I also that same day asked him if you knew about me and asked him.
He didn't want to lose his best friend. You know, like this is typical. This is very, very common where, you know what, all womanizing men are like this, right? They think they're entitled to hold on to, and women, yes, there are women who are guilty of doing the same type of thing. Of course, immoral behavior is immoral. It crosses genders, certainly, without doubt. No question about that. But typically that's what they do. They'll keep somebody in their back pocket. And so whenever I'm, not getting along with the wife or the fiance, well, I just call you. And notice he continuously does that according to her narrative.
He had talked to you about our past and he told me he didn't think that that was necessary. I was really frustrated and I expressed that to him that day, that I didn't think that it was fair for anybody to walk into a scenario as delicate as this one, considering the context, that anybody should walk into this not knowing what's going on, especially when there are plenty of other people in the congregation that know. From that point, I decided that I did not want to maintain even a platonic friendship relationship with him and that my trust had been violated again at this point. And so I stopped communication with him, eventually blocked him on my phone, blocked him on social media, etc. It was October 25th of this year, which is his birthday, that I received a call that was not his personal number and not his social media, reaching out to me to let me know that he had been in what you would call an altercation that ultimately left him hit by a car.
Which confirms what the wife said. The wife said that it was in October, that there was an altercation, and they spent some time apart following the altercation. So that's consistent.
Again, I'll be honest and say that I thought in that moment, frustratedly, like, this is not my problem. I should not have to show up for somebody that has broken my trust on multiple occasions.
And you don't.
But convicted.
And you don't. You can say no.
The right thing to do was to show up for somebody that you care about. And so, no, I wasn't showing up for him as a friend. I wasn't showing up for him as somebody that was looking for anything for him, not somebody that is looking to rekindle a relationship with him. I was showing up for him as somebody who had just gotten news that he was in the hospital and had been in a car accident. And I want to be clear, he and I have maintained a strictly platonic relationship since the spring of 2024. And so while I understand that there is extreme hurt, there is extreme frustration, there was extreme disrespect that has happened throughout this situation, while I understand that this is extremely humiliating and I would not wish this situation on anybody, I also will say that is not my character to maintain a relationship with someone that is in a relationship or especially someone that is married. And so I truly hope that in all of this, that you all get what is owed to you, what is due to you. I pray that this is all worked out. However, I should not be the target for this anger.
Wait, let me just go back. Hold on.
That is not my character to make.
Let me see
I want to be clear. He and I have maintained a strictly platonic relationship since the spring of 2024. And so while I understand that there is extreme hurt, there is extreme frustration, there was extreme disrespect that has happened throughout this situation, while I understand that this is extremely humiliating and I would not wish this situation on anybody, I also will say that is not my character to maintain a relationship with someone that is in a relationship or especially someone that is married.
Okay, but when you say you two have maintained a platonic relationship since the spring of 2024, okay, and he began seeing, now I don't know whether or not he was honest about this. Apparently he hasn't been honest about anything, but I'm just gonna take, give him the benefit of a doubt. I don't know if he was honest about that, but if you're seeing him platonically since spring of 2024, right? I don't know. She didn't say until the present, but she just kind of left that open-ended. Like, I've been seeing him. We've been friends. We've had a platonic relationship since the spring of 2024. Does that mean until throughout 2024, all the way until the end of 2024 and into 2025 and throughout 2025? Because if that's the case, then he was in fact married. And I know people have all sorts of opinions about whether or not a married person should have a friend of the opposite sex, platonic or not. And it depends on whether or not, some people will say it depends on whether or not they actually had a romantic relationship and was sexually involved with that person. People have all sorts of criteria, but she may have in fact been talking to him while he was seeing the woman that he was about to marry and propose to.
And so I truly hope that in all of this that you all get what is owed to you, what is due to you. I pray that this is all worked out. However, I should not be the target for this anger. I truly do believe that it is misdirected. And to all of my friends, turned family, my community that have reached out throughout the last day and a half of everything that has been going on, for people that know the truth and know my story and know my character, that have shown up for me and supported me. Thank you for showing up for me. I really do appreciate that. And I hope that this all gets worked out, but I am not anyone's mistress.
So I noticed that a lot of times mature pastors, and I thank God that I've experienced this and witnessed this myself, they'll share the trials and tribulations that they went through in their marriage. They don't mind saying, my wife and I grew from this. I learned how to treat my wife with respect. My wife and I used to argue over this, that, and the other. Look for pastors that are very transparent about their marriage. And you might think, well, how am I going to find that? And you'd be right. That would be hard to find. My answer is always going to be pray, ask God. God is faithful. God is real. He will absolutely answer your prayers. As long as you're not if you're not asking anything outside of his will, even then, he'll still answer you. He might teach you a lesson, but you'll still get an answer. I would say, God, direct me to a church where the pastor is a respectable man of God. Remember, a pastor's first ministry is his family. It's his family. It's his wife and his child or children. That is his first responsibility. So interesting here how if you listen to both of the women's stories and their experience, he takes breaks. He just takes breaks. That's what he does. Oh, we're having an argument. They argued over the fiance and Pastor McDavid. So she said they argued over a napkin and that was his excuse. Yeah, because they typically will come up. Men like this, who don't respect their wives and who don't respect women in general will come up with excuses, and they will on purpose start fights just to get out the house, start arguments just to get out the house. But he also told the young lady who he considered his friend, his best friend, right? Notice that there's breaks in their relationship as well, okay? And then he comes to church, and in his quote unquote apology, he's saying he's going on sabbatical. This man he's in over his head. He's very young. Even if he's 34 by now, that's still very young. At 34, you have no idea how much wisdom you have no clue about. You have no idea, and you won't know until you're 40 or 45 or 50 or 55. You can't possibly know what you don't know yet. But if his coping tactic is consistently get away, go get your own apartment, start an argument just to get out the house, I need a break, we need time apart, let's just be friends, let's just take it, let's dial it back and let's just be friends, let's just be platonic friends for a while, but then I want to pop back up every so often. Oh, let's get back together, out of the blue, just at whim, whatever he wants. It's like he just wants everybody, these women at his beck and call. And that's a womanizer. That's not a pastor. That's somebody who is, you wear the title, you wear the title of a pastor, you wear that mask. But your first responsibility as a man is to your wife when you're married. Okay. And all I'm seeing is just very dishonest, a very untrustworthy man consistently from each woman's story. I think it's very interesting. He's just entitled. Look, he's very entitled. He has a very clean, polished image. But when you look a little closer at his personal life, that's when it becomes very evident who he actually is. And there's his image. As young women and even as older women, it can be a man can be very appealing when he has a great image. When somebody has a great public image, it makes them appealing. People are drawn to that. And as young women, they had to look at him and say, oh my God. Like, thank you, God. Like, I got an educated man, comes from a great family legacy. He's articulate. He's smart too. He's smart too. But when a man uses his intelligence just to play women, like, why is that really something that we should be impressed by? If that's how he's using his intelligence. So, and I'm listening to him and he's got the cadence, he's got the wording. I'm listening, and he happens to sometimes sound a little bit like Martin Luther King. Remember, his family was involved in civil rights. They played a part in civil rights. I don't know to what extent, but I just feel like maybe it even started as a child where he just absorbed like a sponge. And he just has, it's going to take some time. It's going to take some time for him to, for his inner self to catch up with that public image. Unfortunately, he's got a child. God bless the child. I don't mean unfortunately about the child, but now this young woman is raising a child with this man. And so, ladies, take your time when you get to know. Take your time. Take your time. The young woman who was hurt because he told her, he confided in her, I'm going to propose to someone else. She was hurt, but guess what? You're going to move on easier. It's going to be easier for you to move on because you don't have a child together. At some point, this is just going to be behind you. It's just going to be behind you, you know? And so the young woman who married him, and I don't know if they're divorced now, but she's got to bear the brunt of this decision for the rest of her life. Because even once you get divorced, that life that you created ties you together for life. You know, we got to be careful. Don't think just because somebody's in church, well, he goes to church. Pay attention. Pay attention. Pay attention. When things aren't sounding right, his behavior is sketchy, things are just not adding up. You know, you got to be able to see past the public image and public persona, okay? And value and learn to value yourself, because when you learn to value yourself, you can walk away from anybody. You can walk away from anybody. I kind of cringe when I hear young women say, but I still love him because it scares me a little bit. It scares me a little bit. Pray, 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 pray. Women, I cannot say enough, fall in love with yourself. Become a great, virtuous woman and just fall in love with the Lord so that you know, so that you recognize and you can discern when, wait a minute, I feel so loved by God. Like what he's saying is love. Yeah, it's not. It's not like the love that I already have. It's not like the love that I'm experiencing every single day in my relationship with God. Because that type of woman, that's a virtuous woman. She can say no to anybody. She can close the door on any relationship. Being unfaithful, yeah, it's not acceptable in the eyes of God. And the church may just excuse it. They might excuse it. They might overlook it. They may blame the girl, stone her, forget about her years and years later, still be trashing her name. But guess what? In the eyes of God, God's ways are not public opinion. It's two totally different things. God cares nothing about public opinion. He cares nothing about your public image. Who are you? It's who are you? Actually. And remember, if Satan is the father of all lies and you have become a liar, who are you like now? Who are you like now? Compulsive liars, I'm telling you, that's all they're doing. Covering up, hiding, pretending, and masking all the time. But you can't fool God. If you've hung with me for this long, I really appreciate you. Please do me a favor and go ahead and hit that like and subscribe on your way out. It's only going to take a second. I really appreciate it. It helps me to grow, and it also helps push my content and content like this out so that it finds its way to you. Again, thank you so much. And remember, the most beautiful woman in the world is a virtuous woman, boo-boo. Period. I will see y'all next time. Bye. Be blessed.